Rawr! Are you scared? Are you still scared of mascots? Well, that's fine, because I'm actually not one. Greetings and salutations, everybody. It is I, your favorite Kitty Fox, or maybe your second favorite if you happen to have a bias of another one that you know about. Though I should probably take a survey and see how many of you actually have a favorite Kitty Fox, because I might have some competition here. I don't know. So today is not a story, it is not a sketch, it's nothing really funny actually. Though I don't know how to be funny. For example, do you hear that? That's how my career is going. So, today we are going to talk about something that I have been anxious to mention to all of you. And that is the fact that I once was scared to death of mascots. Yes, I had what was called masclophobia, which is fun to say, and it also makes sense as to what it means. Anything that has to do with masks, mascots, or anything covering the face generally. So I myself, along with other family members and other kids and friends alike, had this fear, this irrational fear, maybe rational, I don't know. I guess it could be rational on some purpose or some grounds, because you're not sure what that person inside the suit is capable of. And if you see this giant T-Rex coming at you, what's the first thing that you think of when you have this phobia? When you're a little kid, it's gonna eat me. There's a drop down on Furaffinity for that. And I know what you're probably thinking. A lot of kids seem to have this. For example, you'll see a lot. This makes me laugh, and thankfully I never had this happen when I was growing up, but you'll see a lot of kids who are sitting on that mall store Santa's lap, bawling their eyes out, scared and crying because they're scared, or because they're nervous, or because there's discomfort in knowing, holy crap, this person is potentially Santa Claus, and I'm here sitting on his lap. I've heard about him all my life, and this is the guy that brings me presents. I don't know how to handle this, so I'm just gonna cry. And I really wonder if that response, for the most part, is fear or it's overwhelming. Maybe it's an overwhelmed response to this stimulus, this person who you've heard about all your life that brings you presents, etc. And you're just not sure, as a little kid, you're not sure how to handle it. So the first response is like this burst of energy that comes flowing out of your eyes. So, when I was younger, I had this phobia. I would just, as a little kid, I can go back there in my mind. I can go back to that place in my mind and seeing that thing, that character, right? This big fluffy animal character, right? Just all, come here, you know? Think with me for a second. I'm the mascot, okay? If you have this phobia, or if you had it at some point, or if you had just a general discomfort with mascots growing up, this will look familiar to you. Jog any memories for you? Yeah, me too. I myself, like other kids, other little kids around me, friends, family, whoever they were, we all had this kind of shared agreement, right? We all kind of agreed that mascots weren't really our forte. And then there's that one weirdo that loves the mascots or loves the character, wants to run up and give him a big ol' hug or a high five or whatever. Then the parents usually follow suit and go, hey, Johnny, or hey, Billy, or hey, Charlotte, why don't you go to that character that little Jimmy just went up to, give him a high five and a hug, and let me get a picture. That's another traumatizing thing for those of us who were scared of mascots to hear. Oh no. Oh please no. Oh please no. I had this agreement with my friends and my siblings or my family, and we said we weren't going to do this, but Jimmy had to go and ruin it all for us. Dang it, Jimmy. And I look back on it now and I go, I wonder what was so scary. I'm not exactly sure what was so scary about that experience of going up to mascots or seeing one and then thinking, well, what's this thing gonna do to me? It's partly because when you're a little kid, a lot of the world is very new. You're not sure exactly how to respond to things, especially something like your favorite cartoon character coming to life, and it can be very stressful for you. The few interactions that I had with some of these mascots, I made it very clear to my parents or my grandparents or whomever was there with me as a little child. I made it very, very clear to them. I did not like them. I wanted nothing to do with them. I don't care if you want pictures, so just leave it. But then eventually you hit 10 or 12 years old and you get too old for them and you're just like, well, I guess I don't have to worry about that anymore. As you see now, that phobia is no longer apparent. I don't know what happened. I guess I grew out of it. I guess it's kind of like some phase that you go through when you're little. So I don't know. I don't know where it went. I'm gonna guess probably around age 13 or 14 is when it started to dissipate a little bit. So now the question is, how did this happen? How did you go from being scared of mascots to being a fursuiter? Well, the good news is I'm not a mascot, so I guess this doesn't really count technically. But masklophobia does apply to this particular area because it's a mask that's covering your face and I'm playing a character. When I think of this particular phenomenon happening, I like to think of it as the Dark Knight. He, as a little kid, is scared of bats, and yet he becomes a bat. So what are you saying, Samson?
I'm saying, I am Batman.
And even to this day, when I see mascots, there is still that little bit of excitement that happens right here. You all know what I'm talking about. But it's not fear. I would love to go up to those mascots as an adult, as a person who knows what it's like to be in their situation and go give them a fist bump, give them a high five or a hug and say, thank you for what you're doing. Because what you're doing is hard work to make people happy. Seriously, we should give those guys, those people, those individuals more respect and more credibility for what they're doing. Some of them are out there for hours and hours upon hours, night after night, performing, hugging, high-fiving, dealing with all of the crazy children, all at the expense of someone or somebody or one person's happiness. The next time you see one of those performers of any variety, just go up to them and say, you are doing a good job, my friend. For some people, it doesn't end. As a matter of fact, this phobia can be ongoing for some. There are adults who have this phobia and they still have it, and there's no getting rid of it. I'm convinced that one of my family members has this, and wouldn't you know that one of their relatives is actually a furry, so it's time to have a little bit of fun. If you're a furry and you have this phobia, how do you reconcile that? Or if you had this when you were a little kid and you are now a furry who can appreciate fursuits or even fursuit yourself, how did you get to where you are? How I got to here right now, like I mentioned in my full story, actually I'll put a link right here of how I became a furry, the entire story. It was a response in me that just was like, I like that and I want to try that. Maybe there was a bit of influence from that fear that said, I want to try this thing. So, I hope you enjoyed. I hope we can have a nice talk in the comments. If you want to talk to me about this or have more continuing conversations, then by all means, let's talk. I would love to hear from you. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for your continued support. I love all of you so very much. You have no idea. And I will see you next week for the next video. Bye.
I am